know, right? Let's do a chat.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Backyard Barbecue Podcast. I am your host, Eric Cool Breeze. And I have with me, you all have seen her before on here, Tasha.
Hello.
And we have our guest appearance by Keena, Miss Boutique. And as usual, I allowed everyone to introduce themselves so they could tell you your own accolades. I don't want to take away from anything or add anything that you probably should not have. So.
Okay. You want me to go first?
You're the only one that's left here. They already know us.
I'm new. I'm new. I'm a Pisces. I like long walks on the beach. And I'm just kidding. I am Sakina. I am also Miss Boutique. I style. I have fashion, a fashion blog where I shop various boutiques and shop, share, and inspire the clothing that I found. I am also love sitting up talking about relationships and hearing different perspectives and gleaning from those in different ways. And I have the gift of gab. So I am excited to participate. I'm excited to be a guest attendee. So thank you for bringing me to the tea.
Okay. You know, and hey, we might have her back. You know, y'all let me know how y'all like her. You know, or we'll let you know how we like her. We might not like her for her to come back.
Here we go. I done already left, huh?
Me and Tasha will let you know. You know what we think. You know. When we was on the fence about letting you come on, I was like, just let us. Tasha was like, I don't know.
Oh, whatever.
No, you know it didn't go down.
Trying to sow discourse on the first episode. Come on now.
Right.
That's how those reality shows get rated.
Right.
Hey.
Real Housewives of Homewood.
Hey, that was the strategy. No, not my strategy.
Oh, man.
Now, before I do get started with the podcast, I did want to address something that I guess is big in our Black culture, which is weight. I got two women here with me, so it's already kind of and they got a little bit more hotter in here as soon as I said it. That's why I put my glasses on so they couldn't intimidate me. But
Intimidate you.
But no, on a serious note, we really need to start watching what we eat. You know, there are so many. I was speaking to them about before we went on the air about. I don't know if you all notice these places called DeVita. If you're not watching what you eat, you might be going there and finding out what they actually do in there. But what they do is DeVita and what's the other place?
Fresenius.
Okay, they are dialysis places, and so if you don't know what dialysis is, that's, I guess in short, when you can't get the boo-boo out yourself, then, they have to go in there and get it out for you. Now, I don't know how they get it out for you. That's, for you to research if you ain't eating right, but that's what they do. But my question to everybody that's out there that's listening is, why are so many popping up? Because they are popping up like liquor stores. And it's a lot. I mean, if you go down any major street in Chicago or the south suburbs, I mean, it's probably at least 2 or 3, within a 2 to 3 mile radius, if it's not more. Like they are. If I don't know if they're a franchise, but if they are popping up. And so that means that the foods that we're eating, the stuff that we're putting in your body, us not taking care of ourselves, us not exercising, for the men that think they swole, but they really not. You just got big arms, the women that think you thick, but you really not. You just, a little bit fat. Hey, I mean, I can't even say little, because fat is fat. There's no little. There's no little to fat. You can't say I'm a little fat. I guess you can say I'm a little fat if you don't want to be fat.
It could be. Yeah.
A little thick.
But that's like being a little ugly. It's like
being a little
that
ugly.
outfit is like a little ugly. It's either it's ugly or it's not.
So here's the thing, right? Thick is relative.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on who you ask.
Mm-hmm.
But we know fit thick individuals, and that is legitimately the term and ideal of thick. Someone who is solid. That extra meaty thigh is not flab. Like, it's solid. That's muscle, and it might not even be toned, but you're tight. And
Yeah.
so, and then there is just the sloppy drinker's booty. And that's
Wow.
not
That's a new
thick.
one.
That's
And I think
fat.
the ultimate problem is that a lot of men and a lot of women haven't really seen what healthy thick really looks like. You know, like
Yes.
most of us don't know. Like, I don't think if me and Candace want to get, I don't know anybody in my circle that was like just
Into bodybuilding.
practicing fitness like that. You know, so I wouldn't have known myself. You know, you just think that you look good. You know, like you grab your outfit. You know, and a couple of guys tell you that you look good, and you like, oh shit, I'm shit.
Good.
That's it.
You know,
It's a certain level of discipline, I will say. Having just participated with Candace in the bodybuilding competition, that's 6 months of no fun. No fun. That's what it was. No sugar, no salt, nothing. And so it's a certain level of discipline. And uniquely enough, I was actually just talking about this the other day with a girlfriend, not to be petty or superficial in any way, but I take that into consideration when I have a suitor, in terms of how they are, because the reality is, at the same token, and again, everything is, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But most men want a woman that they want to show off. And, so if you were attracted to me because I just got off the stage, being a bodybuilder, if you were attracted to me because I was thick or I was little extra cushion or whatever, you'd want me to maintain that. And so that should be the same in the other regard in terms of the man. How are you maintaining that? How are you disciplined with that, with your health and wellness? But what I will say in terms of the dialysis centers, they are definitely, yes, everywhere.
It's a lucrative
It's a very,
Yeah.
kidney disease does impact minorities. That's just the bottom line. What is what is unique in them being so many throughout the Chicagoland area, particularly in give or take impoverished communities, low-income communities, is there's food deserts throughout most of these communities. So we have food deserts, but we have dialysis centers. So if we had healthier, outputs for them to be able to access in terms of the grocery stores and just even some of the restaurants and things, we could possibly combat a lot of this. But instead, we're popping it up on every corner. It's almost encouraging this lifestyle, and it's profitable. So we'll make money off of you until you no longer need it. And, until you no longer need it is depending on which side you're on at that point.
right.
So I do agree. It's all a part of
That's a pandemic.
the conspiracy. What is that new show?
Yeah.
They cloned Tyrone. It's all a part of
Oh
cloning.
yeah. So I ain't gonna talk y'all ear off about the weight situation, but I will warn you that I'm gonna be talking about the weight every time we have this podcast, whether it's in the beginning or the end. So I ain't gonna do it the same all the time. So y'all don't not tune in to the first 10 minutes or the last 10 minutes. So I might just stop the whole podcast and the in between and be like, okay, we're gonna talk about getting fat.
Everybody
Don't
step
do
on the
it.
scale now.
Right
Yeah,
there.
that.
What's your weight?
Put your weight up on
Right.
online right now. I want to see the scale.
Right now.
Pop them up.
But,
Not in kilograms.
yeah. Just take care of yourselves. We want to see everybody live a very long and healthy and prosperous life. So even if you're overweight, just make those minor changes, and little small changes make a huge difference. So take
Yeah.
care of yourself so you can be around for the people you love.
That's right. Okay, so moving right on into the segment.
That was good. Woo. Made it.
Girl, you made it.
I made it, girl.
I know
Woo.
you made it through the first
I
10
came
minutes.
around the corner.
Oh wait, you didn't make it the whole 10 minutes. It was 9 minutes 30 seconds. So.
Oh man.
Okay, I'll start
Get my
over.
tap dance.
So, relationships.
Bum bum bum.
It's when he
Let-
holds the
Well, it's been fun, guys. Here's where the part.
Let's talk about turn-ons and turn-offs.
Okay.
Okay.
So, turn-offs, because that's typically the biggest situation. You know, you meet somebody, be like, I was feeling him or her until they did this, and now I just don't feel them anymore. So, for a man, what would be a turnoff that you just can't come back from, and why?
From a man,
Yeah.
I will say for me, and I give grace because I require grace as well. We're all human. But meaning what you say and saying what you mean.
Okay.
That is so huge to me. I was always raised that a man's word is his everything.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to take that, whatever it is they say, right
To the bank.
And so, and even just in raising my children that way. And so, so that's a little heavier. That can be a turnoff, I will say.
Okay. So, you see a man. First 5 things that come to your mind after you figure out that this man's trying to talk to you. What's the first top 5 things that you're looking for?
Oh, can I please
Go for it. Go for
Hey.
it. I felt in my spirit you had to go.
Fingernails. Oh, those fingernails. Oh, them fingernails, honey, gentlemen.
I mean,
Please.
that's unique. Yeah,
It
yeah.
is the first thing I see, because the reason why if we're in a setting where he's like, hey, can I offer to buy you a drink, glass of wine? Sure. They're reaching for their wallet or they're passing the glass to you. So I'm looking at a man's hands, and I'm looking at his fingers.
So you gotta be like manicured.
They don't have to be manicured. They just
Like
need to be
clean.
clean.
Okay.
When I see that little black line under your nails, I have a lot of other questions.
What if it's just one finger that got the black line?
That's extra suspect.
I am so glad
But it's
you
not the
said
index
more
finger. Maybe it's like the
Like, why is that one finger nasty?
maybe it's like the pinky one.
right. What
Why
did
is
you
that
do
one
before you
finger
got
nasty?
here? Yeah, that part.
I have questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got questions.
I will.
So
say
that's 1 out of the 5 for me.
I will
So-
say the clean fingernails for sure. The maturity level. I think it depends on.
But you don't see that.
Right.
What
Not
you see.
yes. In some regards, I think you do because case in point, the other day we were at a bar and the gentleman that approached her, you could just tell that he was very. How do I describe it? Very, very.
But that's an
full of
observation.
himself.
What do you see?
No,
Like, even
because the
without-
way they engaged and the way they talked, it was almost like I almost felt like that was a child. Like the way they talked and the way they were trying to hit on her and everything, it was like.
What was
I
said?
feel like there's some childish things there. I mean, he didn't tell her about taking a Red Lobster necessarily, but there was just some things that was like I sat back, and when we talked about it later, I was like, "What'd you think? What did you think of that?" And it was you could sense that there may be some childish things there, maybe, and I don't want to put the situation out, but you could just sense. So I will say the maturity level, because again, how you present.
She still talking to
yourself-
him?
No,
Oh,
they didn't exchange the number. They didn't do any of that, but it was. I don't know how to describe it. I'm trying to say it without saying it, but
Oh my God! What difference do it make if you
But-
say it and she didn't talk to him?
It was. I
Maybe
think it
he's
was
listening
just-
now and he needs to know, like, don't say that no more.
I think it was just the level in which they presented themselves, in which they talked about it, like the things that they said they were still like doing and so forth, and it was like we're kind of out of that since high school. Like I don't know. It made me feel like there was a little childish. So I sensed that, and I found it, unique that she sensed it too. And I said, so in that regard, the maturity level. But I think it's the same as if a woman presents herself to you. You
Well,
can
we
kinda
got to
tell.
scratch maturity from your list because you didn't give us a good enough example.
Oh, okay.
And I don't
already
know
out,
what you're talking
so-
about yet to defend or
and that's what I'm
to go
saying.
against it.
So that's my whole point. And although I understand her, because I understand her, we just kind of vibe that way. Men are very physical. So the first thing they see is not your personality or your
Right.
maturity.
This is true.
So
This is
in
true.
terms of his question, what do you see? Like without the observation, like what is the initial turnoff? Is it that he's sloppy and his shirt is untucked? Is it that he didn't even notice that he still had crust in his eyes? Like what are the
He didn't have
things that
no
are
haircut
initial
that day. His shoes was leaning to one side.
I mean,
His breath stank.
I will say there was an element of like, kind of being dressed like he was still back in high school with the baggy jeans and sagging it down behind to this and to that, and what was it, the denim brush, where you bleach the denim
Whitewash.
pants
Oh.
all the way down, and it was like, feel like we were in high school. So I mean, so I guess that was my observation, shall we say? I'll give that. But
So the money question with this anonymous situation, did either you or your friend tell him that? Why?
no, no, and I see where we're going with this. No, I don't know if there was really an opportunity for that exchange. It was kind of clear what their intention was. Really
What was their
just kinda gave
intention?
them the floor. I mean, to get the number, obviously, but it once it didn't happen, that was the end of it. So I don't think there was an opportunity. Now, me being a whole me, and Tasha knows me, I would probably be the one that's like, can I just be honest with you? Can I just tell you something? And that would be me. And I would do it in love as best as I can. But you have to be careful, because there are some folks that cannot receive it. There are some folks
True.
who may want to meet you in the parking lot. But yes, me being a whole me, I would have probably said
You would have
so.
got a crash course on Kina.
Okay.
Okay.
Because that's very important too. I mean, I don't. I believe in, like, being transparent, even with the like, I can go to a restaurant and then be like, I'll never eat here. Matter of fact, perfect example. There's a place, I'm trying to think of the name, because I'm not that person that's gonna not say a name, but I really forget the name of the place. It's on 111th and Pulaski. It used to be called Red Dogs.
Oh.
But
I know
they,
what you're talking
yeah,
about.
but they
There's something
changed.
Frank's.
Yeah, they changed the name of it. It was like closed down for a little bit.
It was open for a while.
Yeah. Now, food really good, but I had went in there 2 weeks ago when I was on vacation, and they had some, kids behind the register, and so I placed the order, and the boy didn't hear me. What? So I said, can you? No, I had already placed the order and I had paid, and I had asked about something that I had ordered, and he said, "What?" I said, "Oh, can you just ask your boss if I get my money back?" Now there was somebody that was training him that was not too far, standing behind him, and she said, "Whoa, what's?" I said, "Look, I'm a business owner." I said, I don't even tolerate, like, with my kids, with what. It's just a rude terminology, like, especially just to say what. Like, I do have a bad habit of, and I've instilled it in my kids accidentally.
Oops.
Say what? What you say? Say what? And even though it's not a what, it's still say what. It don't sound the same when I say it, but when they say it, it'd be like, wait a minute, what you say?
Right. What's your thing? Is it what?
I can't remember.
It's like, it's the one thing.
I can't remember.
I can't remember either. She got a thing too, similar to what though? Like, don't say this.
I got to be in the moment.
Yeah.
Right. So, I told him, I said, that's not a good reply back to someone. You should be saying this or this,
Can you repeat yourself?
Right.
Like, these are forms of training.
Yeah, so it's like, even with in these relationships or interactions with the opposite sex, like, it'd be kind of important sometimes to just tell the guy or the woman, like, look, this is why I'm not interested at this point, because of this, and this. Because otherwise, how do they know? You got the same dude to be going to the same next 100 women doing the same thing, and they in their mind think that they fly. Like, they think that this is the line. You got to think about it like, at one point in time, your hair didn't always look good. You thought that it did until you went and somebody else did your hair good, and you like, oh man, oh shit, like,
Went up.
yeah, like, and then your old styles was calling you. You like, nah, girl,
Gone with the wind.
right. Now, hey, maybe you didn't want to tell her, like, you got to step your game up, because I went to somebody and they kind of took you from me. Took me from you. That's what, yeah.
All of it.
Yeah. So it's like, but that's why I asked if you told them. But since it wasn't your instance, then I guess.
Fair. I actually value transparency. I would be the one to just like pull someone aside and be like, "Can I talk with you? Can I just make a mention?" And especially if I get the sense that they might be receptive, and would have a whole dialogue and be engaging in that regard. So yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm nervous.
So I'm gonna circle around this question. We already know Tasha don't need to answer this question. We already know her answer. So, sex.
Hi guys.
So when does it feel comfortable to have a conversation about sex?
Wow.
Like, does that person have to reach a level of them making you comfortable, or
you got comfortable and looked at me? Well, let me.
she like, I
know,
discussed
right?
this already.
Yeah. So let me again.
Oh, wait. Before you answer that, so some people had some questions about if Tasha was the one with the 6 kids. She was not the one with the 6 kids.
I do not have 6 children.
You have to watch the entire episode to understand how
go
we
back.
got there.
And,
So
and
it was just
learn how we got there and learn very quickly.
yeah. It
how we
wasn't
got
a
there.
it wasn't an
a
edit where I
snippet.
made her have 6 kids. That was the actual
Snippet.
conversation. But it was, you have to watch the whole episod to know.
You have to go back.
like,
After 2, it should be buy one get one free.
No, we're not even doing that. She's got the one very
Yeah.
proudly. And period. No comma.
So to answer your question, I think it depends on the initial engagement. If we're having a conversation where I feel like I can actually vibe with this individual and talk with them, I will again, being transparent. Tasha can't wait for it. Being very transparent, I will tell them even initially, I'm celibate. I'm actually not engaging in these matters. It's wild out
another
here.
one. Y'all live next door to each other,
It
don't
is
y'all?
wild out here.
It's spread like a little.
It's wild. It's wild. I was watching.
Y'all stay next door to each other, right?
We
Not
stay
like-
in the neighborhood.
In the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
I wonder if
one
it's the
block away.
water.
Yeah.
It's not the water.
It's not the water.
I promise it's not the water.
But-
I ain't gonna tell y'all what block they stay on, but don't move on that block.
Don't.
Move on the block.
No,
I'ma
move
let
on the
you
block so we
finish.
can become elevated in all of our thinking. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I will say I am celibate.
How long has it been going on?
For myself, quite a while. I don't want to put a number.
So long, I don't even remember.
Quite a while. But yes. So I used to use it almost as like a litmus test. Totally transparent. Let's be honest here.
Oh wow.
I used to
This
use it
is
as
news
like
for me.
I did. I used to use it as a litmus test, almost to just kind of see like
What's
how
your
that
purpose?
reaction would right. So
Yeah.
how are
Why?
you going to
Who
maneuver?
sent you?
Real talk.
Uh-huh.
And then would kind of see again based on what you're telling me, what you're showing me, so on. If it matches up, if it's it's not an issue, it's not a factor, but you're trying to put the moves on, in the second or third date or whatever, or you send in the eggplant text messages within the next couple, sir. So I used to use it as a litmus test. Now again, any conversation I have, I'd like for it to be organic, of course. And so if it can come up in that conversation, I'll mention it and I'll discuss it. And even if they ask, why do you feel that way? I don't have a problem discussing it. It's a part of my relationship with Christ. It's where I am. It's a part of the sacrifice that I feel. And then on the flip side of it, some of y'all out here reckless. I don't want to be entangled. And none of the nonsense.
Sure.
Here we go.
So you haven't always felt that way. I'm asking.
About being celibate?
Yes. What was your point of view prior to that?
She about to ask you some friendship questions that
I-
y'all never had before.
Here we go. Prior to that, I think it had to be my level of comfort. I never wanted to be a notch on a belt for any person, it's not going to happen. So it would have to be my level of comfort and how well I felt I could trust this individual, how deeply connected I was to this individual.
Yeah.
Sex to me as a whole it's an intercourse. It's a passionate intersection of who where we are in this relationship, how we function. It's not, to me, something that should be a hit it and quit it. Not knocking those that are, do what you do. That's between you and the Lord. But it's just not something that I can just, pick up, put it down. It's not. I have to be deeply connected to be fully passionate in that way. And so in that regard, I have to feel that with that individual.
Okay. That's it for now.
No.
Did I pass the test?
Oh no, this it's about to be the whole podcast.
Well, so deeply being connected, I completely get, obviously, for obvious reasons. But your stance on how you viewed the act prior to becoming celibate, your stance was different. So what was that difference, and then what made you decide to pick up the rock of celibacy?
The stance on it was all flesh. I mean, it was, if I was deeply connected and I felt this connection, then, I would engage in that regard. If I, it was more self-driven.
Okay.
Where I am now, it's more Christ-driven. It's a sacrifice. I'm trusting in the Lord to bring me to my husband. He's preparing me in this stage, as in terms of becoming a wife. And so I have a different view now about sharing that in that regard. And I don't think it's something I want to give out to everyone. I would rather have a little mystery and just only bless my husband.
Okay, so I'll ask you a question that I asked Tasha last week. So she's already answered. So don't look to her to help you with that. So what if the D is trash? Like, I mean, like.
Don't take your sip of wine, child.
That's why I told you bring plenty of liquor like this. Like the commercial say, go down.
I will say I have, in my initial stages of the celibacy, there was something I've always been rather concerned about.
It's a good concern.
I mean, it's a valid concern. You're marrying into this. This is something you're going to be committed to. You want to be able to do what you want to do.
Like buying a house with a blindfold.
I mean, again, I like to keep a little mystery, but there's no shame in any of my game in that regard. Having said that, the marriage bed is undefiled. Having said that, I would definitely want my counterpart to obviously not be trash. You don't cast your pearls before swine. But
No pun intended.
No pun intended. So no, that is something I actually did worry about, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Having engaged and been in that place, there's been times where I, definitely wanted to kind of test the waters and see what it was or what it wasn't, and it changed the entire dynamic of a relationship. It changed the dynamic of the relationship. It altered it in a way, and I just
after you tested it, or
after I tested it, after I tested it,
because they wanted some more.
I mean, again, I like a little mystery, but yes, I mean, of course, it changes the dynamic.
Did you think that it was not?
Did I think it was not going to happen?
Yeah, like did you what was that conversation like? Was it like, hey, I just want to try the D out just this one time, just to make sure,
No, I'm not going in there like yes, no, or maybe. I mean, at that point you're opening up a door, so it's hard to then close the door back, right? Because
right, that's what I was getting at.
Level.
Right.
And so for me, having learned from that, I'm not even going to open the door. I have said, even in my inner circles of my girlfriends, I'm not teaching no one. I'm going to be very honest. Come with your PhD in hand. I'm not teaching nobody. So
how the fuck does that work? Because if you... I'm really trying to wrap my mind around
Eric's
this.
Like, how do you
celibacy.
come with your PhD and you haven't even
because,
taken the master's or
not
the
the basis of it. I understand the basis of this is what you believe in, but I just don't have that level of trust in any deity at this point in my life to trust that you're gonna give me the right coochie that's gonna
that's part of the walk, though.
That's part of the walk.
That's part of the walk.
And so if you don't have that trust, then that...
But let me also just clarify in terms of any deity. I can understand that in terms of any deity because the influences, there are many. So my trust is in that of God, in that in Jesus Christ,
very
the Savior.
specific.
Very specific.
Yeah.
You have not, for you ask not, right? So I'm very specific in what I'm praying for.
So you be
and what I'm
praying
saying.
like,
But
Lord, and let him have the best D ever.
okay, I don't hit my fist.
And we're not saying the D before
I'm
the
not
Lord.
like
And
on
God,
this.
please. Because baby, if
No,
he don't
but-
have that D.
But in that same regard, I will say,
Sweet
knowing
Lord.
the way that the Lord has built me,
Mm-hmm.
I know that He would not create
not
a
gonna bring her
desire
anything
within me
less.
that would not match that desire. That's just not going to happen. And
But
so
that's a fruit of that's a part of being
That's
fruitful
part
in
of the-
kingdom. It's a benefit, rather.
So in that sense, in terms of marriage being a ministry, even the bedroom is a part of that ministry. So knowing me in that ministry, He's not going to bring me less than that ministry to not allow it to manifest.
Okay, so I'm always devil's advocate over here. Now I know a few people that have
sure.
been celibate, and they was marching hard for Jesus, like them people that was marching with Martin Luther King Jr.
It was on
I'm
the
not
Selma
fooling
Bridge.
with
Huh?
him.
And you know, and they got married and trash. So
We can't just belittle it to that, because there could have been a lot of things.
And I know that there are a lot of things in between that
Before
aren't
that,
said.
this is why I said He's preparing me. So there's things that I'm identifying and recognizing in this preparation that's like, oh, I couldn't take that into a marriage. I see why we're refining it over here. I see why I have to see this reflection, this transparency in this matter over here, right? Because when I come to my husband, when the Lord blesses me in that regard, it is meant to be equally yoked. It is meant to flourish and increase the ministry, the marriage and ministry. It's a covenant. It's a promise. And so in that regard, there could have been a lot of things before the deed was determined as trash, or whatever was determined as trash. Again, marriage and the ministry of sex itself, it's not just an act. It's a union. It's intercourse. It's an interconnection. So it's not something that, depending on what was happening in them situations, they may not have had that interconnection to begin with in order to really manifest in that way.
okay, so got another question. This is for both of y'all. So let's just say, because your list cannot be ever fully fulfilled. Like if you got a man and you say, Lord, I want these 10 things in a man, it might not be a man that's on this earth right now that got all 10 of those things.
This is true.
So it's kind of like the 80-20 thing. So he might have
My God is
eight out of the
crazy
10.
above all expectations. I don't know.
Huh?
I just have crazy faith about these things.
I have crazy faith about them, but
Yeah,
this
but you gotta be
question-
realistic too. You know what I'm saying?
and
Like,
to your question, where the reality comes into play, I created a list, and for what it's worth, it's out there for everybody to see. It's on my social media. I don't hide it. I didn't get everything on that list, but I got 90% of it.
right? Because see your
I'm
list.
happy.
Now I'm not.
100% got it. But the things that he
Right.
didn't give me really are honestly flesh.
Yeah, like I'm not a religious person. I am spiritual.
That's true. That's true. The list could have been, yeah.
Right, because see, you could have created a list that you wanted, but then, you know, your faith is in Jesus. Jesus said, well, these 3 things you don't need. These are just your
He's
wants.
gonna
This
give
is
you
true.
your needs.
This is true.
Right.
As long
And
as your
so
wants,
and so
he
what
knows
if
the need is over the want?
and so what if one of those wants was like, I need them to come with that power stroke, Lord, but Lord was like, hey, that ain't really
Again,
what you.
I don't think in the purpose of the ministry that He's gonna give me less. I don't feel it. But here's the other thing. It says that he grants you your heart's desire, right? And so He already knows what my desires are.
But
in
your
that
desires
regard.
might not be what you desire. Doesn't mean that that's what you need. I desire to be a millionaire, not have to go and clock in tomorrow at work. But that might not be what I need to have in my life tomorrow. At the time that I was incarcerated, my desire was to not be in there anymore.
Right.
Like every day, like just let something happen and the door open up for me tomorrow. But there was still work to be done, you know, and so I couldn't get out tomorrow. And so just because that's your desire doesn't mean that that's going to be your reality. And so I know you in this space where you saying, well, my desire, and I know that that's what I'm going to get, but that's just another. That's like sex. That's a fleshly desire, and so your desire might not necessarily line up with the actual purpose and where it's going to take you. So, I guess my question is, if that does not happen, where does that put you at, like mentally?
I mean, this is where I have to submit entirely to the Lord, and I will say you are helping me figure out some new prayers. But,
Hey, I don't keep 100 on here now.
No, for sure. But I just this is, and I hate to stutter, but I don't have.
You ain't got no answer for it.
I don't have any worry about the matter.
Okay.
I just don't. I know what He has put inside of me. And in that regard, I know that it's,
and focus on that.
I don't have any worry about it. I just don't. And I don't even know what that means necessarily. God forbid it's trash and, something happens and next time it's Eureka. It's amazing. I don't know. But I don't have any worry in that regard. And I will say even the uniqueness of following Christ, like there's not always going to be an answer. This is why there's just a faith. It's a faith walk. So I just walk by faith. Now, on the flip side of it though, I will say, yes, some of the list may have been flesh driven. This is true, which is why I said I'm going to have to look at it. Take it under consideration. And He will give me what's needed as opposed to what is wanted. But whatever I need will still exceed, in many ways, the wants. It'll still bless the wants because this is what you really needed over what you thought you just wanted. So I still think it's a good game. I mean, I don't call me crazy.
You sound like me on the last one. I couldn't move from it. I was like, this is my
because
faith,
in the alternate of that, where I did engage and where I would allow myself, it didn't yield the fruit. It didn't yield the fruit. Like,
Okay.
it just didn't yield the fruit in that.
So let's
regard.
flip the table upside down. So I'm assuming that these men are Christ driven as well, right? These are men of the same faith.
That's the problem.
Right. Not all of them were.
No, I'm saying the ones that you are waiting for.
Oh, okay. Yes.
That you're being prepared for.
Yes.
These.
Yes.
Okay. So let's
That part, yes.
so let's flip the table. You get married, and he does have the Lord. Thank you. Oh my God, it was the best, but not for him.
Oh, that's already rebuked. That prayer. That's already rebuked. No, for real. That's again. He has granted me a desire. I do believe that what he has created within me, that it will not be a displeasure in that regard.
Something the ultimate idea is to be evenly yoked.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're evenly yoked with someone, then whatever we do, whatever I do, whatever he does is going to be pleasing unto one another, and it's going to please the Lord in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there's that being evenly yoked piece. Granted, there are still things you may not know about your partner, so there's room for different levels of expectation to be explored, I suppose, right? Okay, fine. Have your fill. You're married. Knock yourselves out.
Do you think?
But that evenly yoked piece, I think, is so critical. And so it's easy to say, well, what if it's this and what if it's not this? If you're evenly yoked, none of that is even a concern or a worry. And you know that you're evenly yoked because you've already had the conversations. You know true and in and out what it is. Like, this person isn't over here 30% with their foot in the door with Christ, and you over here 90% with your foot in the door with Christ. It's like, that's uneven.
But how do you even gauge that?
You have serious conversations,
Yeah.
and you talk about it.
And things are revealed.
And you have to. And not only do you talk about it, there has to be evidence of that lifestyle in that person's life. So that comes with spending time, being transparent, being a part of their world, being a part of yours, meeting family and friends, all the things that most people would typically try to shun and hide. You can't really do that when you are trying to build
You don't think
a
so?
legitimate relationship. Absolutely. Because the thing is, it's going to come out eventually. You can't hide and lie about this stuff forever. So if
Yeah,
you're
but what if they hide and lied about it just enough?
I don't to see what.
it's gonna come out. I mean, it's no different than a man cheating. We gonna find out. or a woman cheating, he gon' find out.
Okay, we're gonna have a whole episode about that the next time.
Oh,
Because
I'm ready.
I'm saying, I don't want to make it an altar call, but I just feel like
I'm just
Whatever,
asking
I
because you
don't
know who
know.
I am.
I know who you are.
And y'all know who I am.
I just
so
feel like whatever I don't
I'm-
know can and will.
I'm
hurt
like,
them
hey,
more
if
than it
you're
can hurt
talking
me.
about, faking the walk, I mean,
You can't fake it. That's the thing.
It's all
And
going to
then
be revealed at some point.
It's going to be revealed. And so not only is there the evenly yoked piece, there is something called being discerning. And so you have to follow that. If you choose to ignore that, then hey, God cover you, because you can't ignore what you know in your heart. And there's this thing, rather if it's your gut, your head, a voice, several people coming to you like, yo, you see this? Like, you can't ignore those signs. There are signs for everyone. Rather, if they choose to pay attention and listen to them, that's on them.
Okay.
But
like the
your
red
walk-
flags you was talking about that you had to
Absolutely.
know it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Kept
Absolutely.
running through the red lights. I got you. So let's get forward to after marriage. And you've been married before?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just engaged, never married.
Okay. So, and you've been married before. Okay, so after marriage, let's just say everything's been blissful. He done gave you that D and pow.
I feel like I'm going to be like, yo.
Very vulgar.
I want you to, I need
Got
you to
to
go
come
back
with
to your
it.
prayer closet with the right thing now. Like, Lord, I need that. That Eric was talking about
Next
that.
suitor that comes up, yo, where you at?
Like, Lord, and you,
And the angel's like, no, we don't want to hear the
you
fifth.
ain't even got to ask for it. Just, and Lord,
right.
you know what I mean, dog.
Universal. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Dear Lord.
I can see both of y'all next Sunday at church, like at the altar, like, yeah.
No.
No.
It ain't that serious.
No, but yeah, he done gave you that. You was the best he had, or somewhere around there, whatever.
Somewhere around there. You finagled.
Right, he'll work with it. You will work with it.
How they say, it was cool. It was cool.
Right.
It was
So
Call you tomorrow.
with and I'm glad you all are, rooted, because this is a good question for rooted people in religion, no matter what religion you're in. So I was raised, my parents were Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay.
And so I know a lot of, although I might not be religious, I do know the Bible. I know that back and forth, and I know that oftentimes people go through life changes, we're getting a little older, you lose your parents. Life takes you to another stage in life. I hope that none of us, experience losing our kid before we leave here. But different things in life bring you to different points. And so those different points often sometimes change the way that you think, about things and how you feel and interact with the world. For me, when my mom passed, like, I was not here for probably a year and a half, because it just was like I was just waking up like, what you mean? Like, my mama not here. It was just hard to fathom that, I think I didn't snap out of it until I knew that I had to snap out of it when Candace's mom got sick. And so a lot changed for me, then. Like, again, my viewpoints on life, how I interacted with people, my thoughts, kind of how we got here to doing even a podcast. So no matter what the life change happens, life happens. And then the evenly yoked person, they say, hey, I don't think that that's really where I want to be at anymore. And, as a matter of fact, like, I do want to start, exploring some things that, we haven't explored before, like, sexually. Where do you go from being evenly yoked to unevenly yoked and still fulfill what you're supposed to do as a spouse, but not on the same level anymore.
It's a couple things. I just want to make sure we're talking about. They now decided they don't want to be in the relationship no more. They're
Not the relationship.
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that's
Yeah.
No,
double edges right there.
No. They're let's just say like I'll use me. So how I felt about God and Jesus was different after my mother passed.
Okay.
You know, and so if it was an instance like that, you know, like, hey, I'm not trying to be going to church no more, you know, like, hey, the Lord didn't say my mama, you know, we ain't got nothing to talk about. So where do you go from there? Like,
So, in all honesty and all transparency, that's a hard thing, right? Because, it's kind of like our children asking us, well, why did God let this person die or this person get hurt? Or, why do babies die? Babies are innocent. And those are those perplexing questions we don't have answers to. There's, I can't think of a scripture in the Bible that, can clearly answer that for it to just make human sense. But the only thing that I can think of is that despite the evil in the world, despite, to your question prior to the edited version, it when you're raising your kids, they're not the same as they were at 5 as they are at 10. Their needs are different.
Right.
So I would imagine that the marriage or the relationship is flourishing in more ways. So again, a part of being evenly yoked is being willing to go on that journey with that person. So when they do make that transition or that change or they lose someone, you're traveling the journey of life with them. If their mother dies, and that's a part of being
You're
evenly
adjusting with
yoked.
them, yeah.
And you can flow with them through the journey as well as them flowing with you in that journey. If what they desire sexually has changed, then I guess
we
figure
doing
it-
something
we
different.
doing something
There's
different.
that.
Because but I do know this marriage is lasting, and that ain't gonna be the reason why it fails.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
we happy over here.
okay. So, let's take the trauma out of it, and I just don't want to go to church no more.
So
So, and I'm gonna give Keena the floor too to answer this because I know she has a thought. But to that, and I'm just gonna be honest, you cannot force this on anyone.
Right.
You have to want it. So if you wake up one morning and your spouse is like, I'm not with it, as that spouse, obviously you want to continue to cover your covenant partner in prayer. But if they don't want to go, they don't want to go. So you can't force them to go. You can just attack that thing, in prayer. It's tough because you don't want to be manipulative. You don't want to use tactics to make them feel guilty about not wanting to be present. But you have to give that person room and air and breathe to grow and understand whatever head or space they're in, to let them experience that, because that is also a part of the journey. Is that what you signed up for? No. But if that person does make that turn and they shift, as the other partner, you should be willing to cover them and still support them with where they're at. Now, where it becomes a divide, like a true divide, is if they're now no longer going. For me, I guess the deal breaker would be what are we worshiping? What are we praying to? And if it is something of a whole different opposite entity, then we have problems, because now we're talking about what our children are embedded in, our household, our finances, everything that we've built. You're taking it on a different course than what we initially discussed in the beginning of our marriage. So then other courses of action would have to be discussed at that time.
I'll let you answer before I go.
So let me just say this. I tend to not get into too deep with the, why this and why that in terms of God. It is never the way I understand my relationship with Christ. It is never my place to explain the ways of God. It's never my place to explain the ways of Jesus. It's never my place to explain the trials and the tribulations. All of those things are specific to that person, that individual. So it's never my place. The only thing I am engaged in terms of my walk is I take my relationship with Christ for what it is. It is my relationship. Here are the sacrifices I choose to make as a result of the relationship. Here is the devotion I choose to make as a result of the relationship. Here is the blessings I've received. Here is the favor. Here's where I can boast on him. Like, I take my relationship one-on-one. In that regard, I am only an example of Christ. You know, and I'm not perfect. I mean, somebody might say, well, you're drinking wine. Bible says I can drink and not become drunken. Watch it. But at the same token, I can
She was drunk when she got here. Just
Nah,
so
when
y'all
they-
don't know.
look.
She was.
I was not drunk. Okay.
I did not provide any of this alcohol. As a matter of fact, I told them not to bring it, but they
So
brought
not
it
to bring
anyway.
it. I have text messages.
She
Right.
say otherwise.
Screenshots. I have receipts.
Receipts.
Right. So in that regard, I am just an example, right? And so I navigate my relationship with Christ in that regard. It is the same thing that I would do in terms of the marriage. So in that circumstance, if it comes to a place where, case in point, the pandemic happened and I, being one of them, became a bedside Baptist. I was, I would get up and go, and I've become a bedside Baptist. And it's just the convenience of, like, I can roll over and be right in church, But there's a covering with going in. And so in that regard, if it became, a tug of war with the maid and I, I would have to, being equally yoked, it's a relationship. And that relationship, if I understand that this is something that he needs, he recognizes that this is what we've instilled, what we're doing, this is our foundation, I'm going to have to meet it halfway. I'm going to have to get over me in some regard and meet it halfway. I'm going to have to do what's necessary in that regard because I value the foundation of what we've built in our relationship. Not even just speaking of the religion. I value the individual. I married this person. This is my guy as much as this is my husband. I cherish this individual. So I'm not going to fault with intention in that regard. Same in my relationship with Christ. I value Christ. I appreciate how he's covered me and how he's protected me and all of these things. So I'm not going to, again, not perfect, but I'm not going to intentionally try to go out and be like, well, I'm finna go wild out over here. Appreciate you. I'm just not, I'm going to be intentional. And so in that regard, I would do what was necessary because we're equally yoked. I want to see them happy, healthy, and fully, engaged. But at the same token, there's also discernment. And so in the sense of discernment, at some point, you talked about sex earlier. There's a discernment even in sex. You kind of know when and when not to push, when and when not to go. Like, no pun intended. But like literally, like when you get a signal, when you don't get a signal, should I move, should I not move? So in that discernment, in terms of with my husband and our marriage, I'm discerning that they are suffering. I'm discerning that there's more that I need to do. I'm discerning that I need to adjust. And I'll be honest, if we equally yoked, I'm probably already adjusting and already laying out however this thing's got to change and shift before you even get to stand up and say, yo, I need something different. I got you. I'm probably already there because in that discernment, God is already downloading to me where I need to change, and again, not saying that, I'm not perfect or whatever that it may be, but just saying like he's already giving me a revelation of some sort where I need to counter as his helpmate, where I need to fulfill as his helpmate. Here's what we're going to shift. Here's what we're going to have to do. Here's how this is going to look, So, and again, because it's a relationship and I'm committed to that relationship, which when I say relationship, I'm speaking of a marriage. I would be dedicated in that regard. I would put a best foot forward. Now, if it absolutely got to a place where we just truly couldn't figure this out, I having gone through a divorce, I don't believe in divorce as an option.
So now, huh?
At this time, I don't believe in divorce as an option. Now, y'all can talk about me if you want to. It was sure enough an option back then. Show was happily divorced in that regard. No shade to him in any way. He's a good man. But I don't believe going forward that I would allow divorce to be an option. I would definitely want to.
Interesting answer. Leads me to my next question.
Here we go.
So, super Christians.
S on my chest or C on my chest.
Dun, 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 dun.
So these changes come about, and the man says, because you said, hey, whatever changes that was happening, I think that I'm probably already going to be ahead of him. Bam, bam, bam. You know, like, I already got it happening, baby. Well, the changes that he wanted to make, and I forget who said it, marriage bed undefiled. Hey, he want to bring in somebody
I had a
else.
feeling we was going there.
Hey,
I had a feeling we.
your discernment. Look at it, discernment, boy.
Dang, you see that thing in action?
Bam, bam.
You see that thing in action? It is real, folks.
He said, bam, bam.
It real happens. It really happens.
Much like the speed limit on the streets.
Come on.
This thing has limits.
Mm.
So what are we really talking about? Do you just really want to go out here and be with somebody else? Or are you really just trying to see me be with somebody else?
He
Let's
he
have a
want
very-
he want to start doing some freaky shit. Like,
It's not happening.
okay,
It's a no for me. A royal no.
okay.
You can test those waters if you want. We're going to find out how royal that no is. But it's
I concur. I concur. You don't want to invite something
You're
in
opening up
any
other
regard.
doors. Yeah, no.
You don't want to invite something in any regard whatsoever that, truth be told, if it's not solid to take, you're not going to manage it. You just can't. And that is why, again, there's certain things I'm not going to maneuver and do just because I don't even want to see what that look like. I don't even want to understand what the consequences of that could be.
And
That's
there are
interesting.
consequences.
There are consequences. So
Do-
I don't think I could.
If
I'm saying I don't think.
I hope
would.
ain't none of y'all got any kids watching this, but if you do, you might want to
the
put them
time
on.
to shun them.
Might want to put them on mute for just a hot second. This isn't meant to be offensive to either one of you all. So this is just the Backyard Barbecue Podcast. But I have a question. Do you think that in the world, because a lot of what influences man or woman has to do with what we see, and I'll put it more into context. The way that you, I didn't even get a chance to, tell you to open up your. Keena also has a boutique, and she didn't mention it.
Oh no, I did. I said I do styling on the side. I'm Miss
Oh,
Boutique.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yes.
even the way that the styles that you choose to put out is based on what you see people liking. Trends. Is what we call them. And so let's just say if you don't have, if you got a lot of people that's coming to ask for a particular type of style, and you never have it, they probably gonna go to another boutique, right? If people request certain type of foods, but you can't make it, then more than likely they're gonna go someplace else, right? Yeah. So if your coochie don't do what I needed to do, or I wanted to do, like, first off, do you think that it's possible for a man to not want another woman after he's been with you?
Does the man think it's possible for?
No, do you think that it's possible for a man to not want to be with any other woman after he's been with you?
But that's what I'm saying is that I could still counter that back.
No, it's not. It's the question. I'm not looking for a
Let's not
counter.
go-
I'm
let's
looking
not
for
go
the
tit for
answer to
tat.
the
Okay.
question.
So the answer to your question is a man very well could still desire another woman even after being married. The hope is that he wouldn't want to be the same way I wouldn't want to
Thank
be
you.
with another man. That's the hope.
Right.
We can't walk into this thing thinking that once we're married, now we have complete control over the person. And I think that that's the biggest misconception in marriage. Like, now you're locked down. Well, yeah, you're locked down, but how locked down do you want to be? And so that's a part of the governing, the discerning and being evenly yoked, like understanding, like, having those conversations while dating. Do you like threesomes? Is this something that you gonna ask me 60 years down the line?
So they say yeah while they're dating. Is it?
These are things to
Is it a
explore and
wrap?
discuss. And then more than likely, if this is your lifestyle and that's what you're into and that's not what I'm into, then this needs not to go any further.
Right.
You already asked?
I have.
Okay.
I'm
Just
single.
trying to make sure you was. What'd you say?
I said I'm single. I don't ask.
We can't trust your answers because she be like, well, he said, and you know the blue, stonewashed jeans. I don't want to say
so-
what he said, but
Let me say this. You mentioned the thing about trends. I will always say I personally don't like to follow trends. I'd rather set a trend. But
don't you say that.
I that is me.
That's the first time you seen that shirt that you got on?
You know what's funny? The first time I saw this and I bought it, then after I got it, everyone and their mother I had saw posted it.
What kind of car you drive?
I don't want people following me like that.
Ain't nobody. It's 1,000 Lexus, 1,000 Mercedes out here. What are you talking about?
I drive a solid Nissan.
Okay, so you had never seen a Nissan nowhere else before.
But
I've
that's
seen
not a
Nissans
trend.
That is a trend. That's people buying those cars because they look nice.
It's a trend.
What are you talking about?
Wait a minute. It's a trend. It's a trend. If I was
The
going out there,
hairstyle that you got, you seen this. Y'all
okay.
come here. I listen to you all.
He said,
Candace,
"Y'all come
I
here."
seen this girl. I want my hair like this. Don't tell me you don't follow trends.
So listen, let me explain the trends. Here's the difference in what I understand as a trend. A trend is where it has become super popular that everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. I am usually one that's not going to jump on a bandwagon.
That's the definition that you've given it.
That's how I see it. That's what I said. So the way I see a trend,
Yeah, we can
I don't
put
follow
on
that.
our own
but in
definition of anything.
in that
I don't
regard-
think being a hoe is sleeping with more than 3 niggas a week.
Oh my God.
That's what I
my
see as a
gosh.
hoe. If you sleep with more than 3 niggas a week, then you a hoe. That's your own definition.
Oh gosh, that was a good analogy. What?
Come on, man. I ain't gonna let you on here just talking about anything now. We gonna keep it
Here's the
100.
thing about it, in terms of a trend. No, because here's the thing. I have seen
Tasha, like I tried to
trending.
tell her before she came on here. Don't be on that bullshit, girl.
Trend. I have.
He's
seen,
gonna discern it.
He's gonna discern it. He's gonna discern it. I didn't discern that he was gonna discern it. That's the problem. In terms
Hey,
of the trend, I have
better know.
seen. I've seen it go. I've seen it in different ways. I've seen it where I think
I
because
think
it's
the trends can
trending,
be relative.
it's like, now let me interject this. How would you feel about this? How would you feel about that? Whether or not that is truly like what someone truly wants, or just is looking to see how that person would, I don't know, encourage or allow something. That's where it kind of falls for me. I value transparency. So in a transparent sense, if you're telling me, look, I am polyamorous, I'm a pansexual, I this, that, and the third, so on and so forth. Look, that's you. God bless you. Do what you do, but that's not gonna work for me. I'm gonna be very honest with you, straight up. We're not even gonna set this thing up for failure. Let's stop here. Let's just stop here. So I can't follow.
That's cool in the beginning, but if later on the person say that's see, in life people change constantly. So it's easy, it's easy to say, before we started getting into a committed, legal, locked-in relationship, it's the after effect that I'm talking about. Like, because it's millions of people out here, and I'm also speaking from personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, my faith journey completely changed after my mother passed. And so, like, me and Candace, we understand, like, she understands me and how I feel, and I understand also her beliefs. We don't clash even in between them because we have an understanding, and I still can relate on things like when, I guess I've always been that person, though. Like, it doesn't matter to me if you believe in, Allah, Buddha, Jesus, Jehovah. If you're down, I have enough knowledge, biblical knowledge on the surface to encourage you in any kind of way that you need, because that's who you believe in, because who we all believe in at the end of the day, we just don't know. I mean, we have been taught, and keep it 100, we have been taught things to believe in. And even us as blacks, we've been taught things that sometimes we don't even really realize what we've been taught until we do enough research to know where those teachings came from.
This is true.
And so we've been taught things that we, because truth of the matter be, whoever your grandma was believed in, that's why you believe in what you believe in, because your grandma taught your mom and your mama taught you, So it's, for us, I can still be encouraging to her on her path because I understand her beliefs and, what she believes, why she believes it. But we're still able to function, and I guess you would call being able to function in an unevenly yoked situation because we are not on the same page when it comes to that,
Y'all are still yoked. Because you are able to function and mesh in a way where you can still support one another. Yeah. So that topic may be unequally yoked. Like it could be the same with sex. One may be more of an aggressor for sex, where the other one may be a little more passive, but they still gonna get down.
Right.
So in that regard, you are still yoked. You still fill in the gaps where she needs some fill. You still stimulate her where she needs to be. You said you can still meet her and talk with her about these things. You can still provide stimulative conversation, stimulative feedback, all of that. And in the flip of that, she knows where you at.
Right.
So she may not go that far into the things and discuss the things and so forth because she knows where you're at, but you're still equally yoked. The foundation is still there. So I'm sorry, same as the trends is concerned. Like it's the same thing. It's still where are we equally yoked? If this was something that I felt was a part of their fabric, when we got into this thing that I ignored as, they gonna want, I know one day they're gonna hit me up on this, but for right now, we're gonna move this direction. Then at that point I set myself up because I chose to ignore it, thinking, oh no, we good over here. We go to church every Sunday. He only wants missionary. That's that could be the mindset.
That's the only thing you giving?
We only procreate when we make children. There's some folks that believe that, right? That could be the mindset. But
please miss me with all.
Hey, miss me. Miss me. Literally miss me. But at the same token, like, this is where we have to be real with ourselves. This is why I said in my mind, I don't follow trends because I look at the individual aspect of how it relates to me. It's not something I think I can keep up with, and it's not something I want to keep up with. It's not something I want to associate myself with. So I have to look at it in the individual of, okay, is this something that's going to suit me? Is this something that is this me, period? Is this something I'm going to invest myself in to do and be a part of in whatever capacity? So in that regard, if he's hitting me at this time where he's shifted, 9 out of 10, I'm already seeing the shift. I'm already understanding whatever the circumstance is, and I'm submitting my heart and my willingness to help in that way, to be supportive in that way. If that shift is we going overboard, I want to have a menage a trois every Wednesday, let's have a conversation.
What if it's just the first Wednesday of the month?
It would be no Wednesdays, not in the month of Sundays.
Hey, she said every Wednesday.
Not in the month of
It might have been
not in the month of Wednesdays.
There's a crack in the door.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, we could do it once
I'm only
a year.
gonna ask on Friday. No. Yeah, no. I mean, but again, that's even in that example, y'all are still yoked. Y'all still have a bedrock that y'all can build upon and mesh where necessary. So.
Okay. Well, very interesting and enlightening conversations. This is going to have to definitely continue. I have so many other questions.
What's your most pressing? Just hit it.
Oh no, we don't even have enough time for all of that.
Look at that.
This is.
I made it, y'all.
Yeah, she made it past the 20
All my life
mark.
I had to fight.
Oh, wow.
She did. She made it, and she has been a very good and conversational guest.
I appreciate it. I'm grateful I made it.
Yeah. So
Thank you for coming.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in I kind of, I guess kind of took the floor a little bit. But thanks for tuning in to Tasha's Food for Thought episode.
Aw, thank you. Can I say one thing before we depart?
Oh, yeah.
As you guys know, I'm a culinary enthusiast. I have a catering business, Promised Land Foods. I host an annual fall event that takes place October 4th called Bourbon and Bonfire, where we do cigar and food pairings with bourbons from all over. I'm very excited for this year. This is our fourth annual fall event. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, please get your tickets. They are currently on sale at Eventbrite, and they are on my social media pages, which is Tavis4 and Latasha Scott on Facebook. Thank you.
Tavis 4. Spell it out.
Oh, TAVAS number 4, and that is the Instagram page. And you can find me on Facebook at Latasha Scott. And you can also go to the Bourbon and Bonfire page on Facebook as well.
And the event is dope. I will be there. I'll actually be doing a probably off and on live, doing different interviews with people. It won't be podcasts like this, obviously, because we'll be outside. But it has been real dope over the years. And if y'all could come, buy tickets. You got the information. I'll also put up a post with the actual information for those of you who didn't have a pen, or you just didn't catch it and you don't know how to use the rewind button on the Facebook yet. I'm not about to watch that whole episode again just to get the information.
It's all the way at the end.
Right. So yeah, I think that's. You gotta tell people about You said she said that she told y'all what she did, but I didn't hear any information about where the.
She said it
you said where you
I
said
did,
like
I
where
did.
you could.
So you can follow me at Miss Boutiqued. It's MSBOUTIQUED. If the ADD didn't kick in before I got to the D. It's Miss Boutiqued on all platforms, on IG, on TikTok, and YouTube, as well as Facebook. I enjoy styling. I enjoy just seeing someone being confident in what they're wearing and just taking the stage. So I also share all my boutique finds. If there's boutiques that you are nervous about trying, haven't heard about, let me know. Send me a DM about it, and I will do an episode. But I will shop and share and inspire your personal fashion. But again, if you have any styling needs of any sort, feel free to reach out to me as well.
With that in mind, before I leave you all, so this wall right here. So it's kind of, if I put all the decorations, like all together, then it would really be like still 75% empty. This wall is for you black people. I've been asking for paraphernalia. I would really like, and I'm telling you my vision. So if you say nobody has ever tried to help promote you, then you're a lie. So my vision is to fill the entire wall with your stuff. If you own a business, send me a T-shirt, send me a hat. I really would like to fill all of these walls with all of our stuff, meaning black people's things. So you sell T-shirts, hey, send me a T-shirt. Or if you just got a cut up T-shirt that you don't use no more with the logo on it, of your product, send me that. If you need information, inbox me. But I really made this wall to be able to promote everybody. I would really like it to be an abstract wall from top to bottom, instead of doing like, some places they do you come in the restaurant, you sign your name on the wall, everybody come in, the wall is filled up. I would like that filled up just with your stuff, black people. No offense, white people, don't send me your stuff. I'm not going to put it up. Black people, need your things.
Nothing in my glass to drink.
I need your things. So with that, now that Tasha doesn't have anything else to say, then we're going to close it on out.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.